The iron statue monster was tall, its entire body covered in metal armor, wielding a long, curved blade, kneeling in the center of the hall, as if guarding the stone coffin behind it. Looking at it from a distance, it gave people a sense of oppression. Is there a problem? Should I call for more people? Fang Hao tilted his head and asked in a low voice. Me, a Tier 7 hero, can't beat a Tier 7 unit. And Jia said disdainfully. Indeed, in the first two areas, most of the iron statue monsters were defeated by Jia. This was only because Fang Hao said that the energy core was valuable, so he asked her to hold back. Having come this far, she hadn't even suffered a single scratch. Then, I'll leave this one to you. Fang Hao said. All right, I don't like the look of it either, and Jia said, flexing her fingers, full of fighting spirit. Fang Hao nodded, not saying much more. It would be best if Jia could win. If there really was any danger, he could send all the soldiers to rescue her in time. After the two discussed everything, they directly entered the area. The iron statue monster, which was originally kneeling, began to shake. Scattering a layer of accumulated soil, like a stiff machine, it slowly stood up and raised the curved blade in its hand. Jia stepped forward, swaying her head as if preparing for a boxing match. As the two approached, the battle began. Bang! The curved blade in the iron statue monster's hand came down on her head, and Jia turned on her feet, dodging the attack, while slamming a punch into the iron statue monster's waist. Boom! The huge force of air caused dust to swirl. The iron armor on its waist instantly caved in. The iron statue monster, after being attacked, turned again and just raised the curved blade in its hand. Jia's second punch and third punch landed one after another, hitting the golem's body like raindrops. The iron statue monster staggered back. When it stood firm, the iron armor all over its body was uneven and exceptionally miserable. Even so, as a construct, the iron statue monster did not know fear or death. It stood up again, opened its mouth, and began to gather energy. A white energy ray, as thick as a gun barrel, shot out from its mouth, containing terrifying energy, shooting towards Jia. This action surprised both of them. This iron statue monster could actually launch ranged attacks, and Jia didn't dare to take it head-on and dodged with a flip. Then, she quickly rushed towards the iron statue monster, leaped high, and released her blood-colored fangs. Boom! With a roar, the entire hall trembled. The iron statue monster's head seemed to be pulled away by a huge force, and finally broke directly from the neck and flew out. Gurgle! The iron statue monster's head rolled to Fang Hao's feet, still flashing with electric light in its mouth. Jia inserted her hand into the iron statue monster's chest, took out the energy core, and threw it to Fang Hao. The latter directly put it into his backpack and stored it away. Leading a group of skeletons, he walked past the iron statue monster's corpse and headed straight for the stone coffin in front. The stone coffin seemed to be carved out of natural stone all around and inside. The overall base was connected to the entire mountain, perhaps due to crustal movement or an earthquake or something. A huge crack appeared under the stone coffin. Even the stone coffin cracked and collapsed, with more than half of it pressed under the stones. Open it, Fang Hao said. Several skeletons stepped forward and worked together to push open the remaining half of the coffin lid, revealing the appearance inside the coffin. The coffin was relatively empty, with only dark black debris and stains, forming a human shape. After so long, even the corpse had corroded away. Damn, there's not even a corpse. Isn't this a loss? Fang Hao cursed in a low voice. Search around, collect everything that can be taken away, and also peel off the iron skin of the iron statue and take it away. Fang Hao continued to order. He couldn't make a trip for nothing. Even if the stone coffin was empty, there were still some jewels and treasure chests around that hadn't been discovered yet. All the skeletons scattered and began to scavenge the items here. Candlesticks, night luminescent stones, undamaged utensils, and jewelry were all collected. They would all be taken away later. Finally, a skeleton discovered a golden treasure chest and sent it directly to Fang Hao. Just as Fang Hao was about to open the treasure chest, not far away, a shout suddenly came. Courting death. Fang Hao hurriedly looked up and saw Jia leaping up and throwing a punch towards the dim corner. Boom. Dirt and rocks splattered in the dim corner. A woman's image with a transparent body floated out of the shadows, floating in the air, frowning at everyone. The woman's features were distinct, and her figure was graceful. However, the woman in front of her was completely transparent, floating in the air like a ghost in a film or television drama. Ghost. Tier 3. A ghost. It really is a ghost. All the skeleton soldiers quickly gathered towards Fang Hao, adopting a fighting stance. Wait, just as everyone was about to fight, the female ghost suddenly floated backward and said loudly. The female ghost's voice was somewhat ethereal. Don't attack. See what she wants to say. Fang Hao said directly. Jia stopped her forward steps, but still stared at the ghost in front of her vigilantly, like she was staring at prey. Lord of the Undead, I am just a lonely ghost born in this ancient tomb. I don't want to have a conflict with you. You can take away anything you need here, the ghost said hurriedly. She had witnessed the entire battle process in the shadows. She also knew very well that with her Tier 3 strength, she was simply not a match for the team in front of her, or rather, that female hero. The items in the ancient tomb were of no use to her. If the other party wanted to take them away, then let them take them away. Hearing the other party's words, Fang Hao was slightly stunned. This Tier 3 ghost could actually speak and had such high intelligence. Communication was completely normal. Are you the ghost of this corpse, or did you come later? Fang Hao continued to ask. I'm sorry, Lord. I already appeared here when I woke up and have no previous memories. The ghost replied. Since she was already here when she woke up, she should be the ghost produced by the corpse in the stone coffin. You don't mind us taking away the items here? Fang Hao asked curiously. I don't mind. At the same time, I hope that the Lord of the Undead will agree to me joining your command and taking me away from here. The ghost continued to say. This result far exceeded Fang Hao's expectations. The other party had actually already considered this. Ghosts belonged to the undead, but they were not strong themselves. Even when living in the ancient tomb in the past, she only moved around the stone coffin in the back and did not dare to approach the iron statue monster. When Fang Hao and others were fighting, she had been thinking about this issue. If she wanted to survive and get out of this cave, it would be better to take advantage of the opportunity in front of her and directly join an undead force, which could be considered as having a backer and hope for development. You want to leave with me? Yes, Lord. I am willing to offer all my faith, be loyal to you, and die without regret. The ghost floated in the air, kneeling on one knee and saluting. Although the ghost's memory was gone, her intelligence was definitely preserved. Moreover, this set of words was more like a declaration, an official declaration. I can't completely trust your declaration. I have a slave contract in my hand. If you are willing to sign it, I will agree to your joining and give you shelter. When you show your loyalty with actions, I will cancel the slave contract. Fang Hao looked at the ghost and said, Are you willing? Let alone the wild, undead ghost fox before him. Even this seemingly weak rabbit girl ear wasn't fully trusted by him at first. Only by signing a contract, restricting the other party through rules, could he feel at ease keeping them around. If this female ghost was willing to sign a contract, he was willing to add another unit type to his territory. An undead with such high intelligence right after being born might lead to a hidden storyline. But if she wasn't willing, Fang Hao naturally wouldn't force her. He would just take the items here, and they would go their separate ways. Silence filled the air. After a few seconds of silence, the ghost fox finally spoke, saying, Lord, I am willing to sign a contract with you. After speaking, she even bowed with an elegant gesture. All right, then I welcome your joining in advance. Once all the items here are sorted, you will return to the territory with us, Fang Hao said. As you command, Lord. The skeleton soldiers began to move again, starting to search the entire hall. The ghost fox quickly got into character, actively leading the skeletons and helping them find all the items in hidden corners. Meanwhile, Fang Hao took this time to open the treasure chest. A flash of light appeared. The items appeared before Fang Hao. Obtained. Black iron open-faced helmet crafting blueprint, green. Simple hand saw crafting blueprint, green. Sound transmission conch. Gargoyle construct crafting blueprint, blue. Golden mammoth construct crafting blueprint, purple. Healing potion X5. Warcoin X220. Swish, swish, swish. The light from the blueprints almost blinded him. Blueprints appeared before Fang Hao one by one. The types of blueprints were also very comprehensive. Equipment blueprints, tool blueprints, and also construct blueprints. Fang Hao had just witnessed the combat power of these constructs. Even the initial gargoyle constructs, with a layer of stone armor on the surface, were impervious to blades and spears. Sparks flew as the group of skeletons hacked at them, if Anya hadn't been there. And with the underground tomb limiting the number of soldiers, dealing with these constructs would have been truly difficult. Even though it was still a gold treasure chest, it was a top-tier gold-type chest, containing so many items. Fang Hao checked the item attributes one by one. Black iron open-faced helmet, leather X5, iron X3, iron plate X4. Description: the open-faced helmet can provide more comprehensive defense for the head. A decent quality green armor piece. With batch production, it could greatly improve defensive capabilities. Whether equipping troops or selling them, they could fetch a good price. That simple handsaw. Tough wood X1, cast iron block X1, metal parts X2. Description: the appearance of the handsaw makes logging and wood processing more convenient and simple. A handsaw, there's such a thing. Sound transmission conch category. Item ability, sound transmission. Description: a complicated to make, yet very difficult to use, one-way sound transmission item. This wasn't the first time Fang Hao had seen a sound transmission conch. Last time at the Manhwa market, the slave trader gave him a sound transmission conch so they could contact him. Next time, sound transmission conches are divided into mother and child conches. Speaking into the large conch, mother, can transmit sound unidirectionally to the small conch, child, that it serves the purpose of sound transmission. The territory's range wasn't large now, and the only thing to consider was the affiliated village. The Pigmen village. Any messages he needed to send to the Pigmen village were done using divine descent, descending onto the station skeletons, giving instructions, and then canceling. That was much more convenient than a sound transmission conch. Gargoyle. Construct, energy core X1. Basic head X1, headstone armor X1, basic torso X1, torso stone armor X1, basic arms X2, arm stone armor X2, basic legs X2, leg stone armor X2. Description: construct troops are loyal guards. They stand by like stone sculptures, and once enemies are discovered, they will launch endless attacks. Slight damage can be repaired by accompanying engineers to continue fighting. Golden Mammoth Construct. Large Energy Core X1. Mammoth Basic Head X1. Mammoth Golden Faceplate X1. Mammoth Basic Torso X1. Mammoth Golden Torso Armor X1. Mammoth Legs X4. Mammoth Golden Leg Armor X4. Mammoth Tusks X2. Magic Cannon X1. Description: a living construct designed based on a mammoth. Its massive size is comparable to a dragon, and its strong body can flatten all defenses, stomping into desperate and helpless prey groups, harvesting the living. Slight damage can be repaired by accompanying engineers to continue fighting. Two constructs in a row made Fang Hao frown slightly. These things felt like robots wearing armor to Fang Hao. They possessed strength and abilities unmatched by ordinary people. It could be said that the gargoyle construct was already very powerful. Being able to craft it could greatly increase the territory's strength. However, the crafting materials were indeed quite numerous. Gathering these materials would be a difficult task. As for the Golden Mammoth construct, his mind was already picturing a gigantic mammoth covered in golden armor, charging through the battlefield. Everywhere it passed, soldiers were trampled into meat paste, and defensive walls were knocked down. Just thinking about it felt pretty exciting. The difficulty still lay in the crafting materials. With so many materials, it would likely be very hard to obtain. As Fang Hao finished looking at the blueprint attributes, the skeleton scavenging was also nearing its end. Everyone was carrying bundles and bags of spoils, slowly exiting the tomb passage. Along the way, they took down the luminous stones from the first two areas and carried them all away. They returned all the way to the entrance, climbed out using the rope ladder. By the time they were out of the pit, dusk was approaching. All the skeleton troops, along with the newly joined Ghost Fox, began to return to the territory. With Anya leading the team, Fang Hao directly canceled divine descent. Waking up in his room in the territory, he got out of bed and stretched his limbs. His mood was quite good. He hadn't had much expectation when exploring this cave. But unexpectedly, he actually found an ancient tomb and obtained rich spoils from it. Gold, silver, and jewels aside, those were external possessions that he had obtained many types of blueprints, including black iron knight sword crafting blueprint, blacksmith shop construction blueprint, wooden mask crafting blueprint, black iron open-faced helmet crafting blueprint, simple handsaw crafting blueprint, gargoyle construct crafting blueprint, golden mammoth construct crafting blueprint. There were also magic potions and healing potions. These items could bring about an overall improvement in the territory's strength. By then, the danger level from the Skullcrusher tribe would also be significantly reduced. He walked out of the Lord's stone building to was explaining some territory rules to the other rabbit people. Like a little teacher, she was talking and gesturing. Seeing Fang Hao come out, the rabbit people immediately stood up and bowed. "Master, shall I prepare dinner?" Asked. Normally, dinner would have already started by this time, but since Fang Hao had been using divine descent, had postponed dinner. "Wait a while, until Anya is almost back." "Okay, master." Continued to teach the rabbit people. Fang Hao walked to the side and put the rejuvenation spring produced today on the shelves. The resources exchanged were also skewed, prioritizing the exchange for shadow stones. Then, a large number of people started asking what shadow stones were and what they were used for. Currently, the only thing holding back his building upgrade progress was shadow stones. Due to the Skullcrusher tribe's targeting, he also had to race against time to accelerate his development progress. Finally, Anya led the team back to the territory. Returning to the territory, the skeleton soldiers sorted all the loot they carried. Some were sent to the warehouse, while others were sent to the area where basic materials were stockpiled. Anya walked into the main hall and casually tossed the backpack containing various blueprints and energy cores to Fang Hao. He caught it in his arms and added everything to the Lord's book. Compared to the jewels collected from outside, these blueprints were the true gains. "That little ghost is waiting outside. Should I let her in?" Anya picked up some fruit and said as she ate. Before officially joining the territory, the ghost from the ancient tomb was considered a wild unit. With Anya's guidance, she could enter the territory, but to enter the Lord's mansion, she still needed Fang Hao's permission. Otherwise, she would be considered an attack and would be attacked by the units within the territory. "Let her in," Fang Hao said. Anya walked to the door and led the ghost inside. After a short while, Anya returned, followed by the floating figure of the female ghost. Upon entering the Lord's hall, seeing Fang Hao on the white bone throne, the ghost instantly showed a surprised expression. She couldn't quite react. Just a moment ago, the adult was a skeleton. So how is he appearing here in human form now? "Ghost, I'll give you another chance. Are you truly willing to join the territory? If you are, I can sign a contract with you. If not, you may leave on your own." Fang Hao sat solemnly on the throne. The ghost didn't hesitate at all, lifting her translucent skirt slightly and bowing. "Respected adult, I am willing to join your territory." On the way here, Anya had not restricted her freedom. Instead, she let her follow behind the team that if she had wanted to leave, she could have done so at any time during the journey, and no one would have stopped her. Having come all the way to Fang Hao's presence, she had already made her choice. Good. Fang Hao didn't waste words, directly opening the Lord's book, selecting a blank slave contract, and signing it with the ghost. Unlike contracts with normal living beings, ghosts didn't need to use blood to make a handprint. Instead, after both parties agreed that a gray-blue fingerprint automatically appeared in the slave's position, the contract was completed. To Ghost, your current loyalty to you is 70 points. Perhaps it was because they were both in the Undead faction. The Ghost's initial loyalty directly reached 70 points. "What is your name?" Fang Hao continued to ask. As the first female ghost in the territory, it wouldn't do to not know how to address her when they met in the future. "Adult, I have no name. Please give me one," the ghost said as she floated. Naming her, this really stumped him. Under her expectant gaze, Fang Hao said directly, "You are a girl, so let's call you Little You. I hope you will be carefree and without worries from now on." "Thank you, adult. I really like this name. I will be called Little You from now on. Little You showed a faint smile. However, this smile, appearing on a female ghost, was slightly eerie. Ghost Little You's loyalty to you has increased by 5 points. Current loyalty is 75 points. Fang Hao also smiled slightly. Indeed, saying nice things had a miraculous effect. Then he immediately checked Little Yu's attributes. Ghost, Tier 3, Faction, Undead racial traits, Undead, Ethereal, Light weakness. Skills, Spirit possession, Dark void, Unfinished business. Innate ability, Basic combat mastery. Ethereal, all physical damage is reduced by 25%. Spirit possession, the ghost can possess a target living being for a long time. The target being's tier, mental strength, consciousness, and many other factors determine the success rate of possession. Dark void, when in darkness, the ethereal state is not restricted by terrain. Unfinished business, unfinished wish from life. Helping the ghost complete her wish has a chance to restore her memories from life and advance to a hero. Wish quest, collect her collection from life, 12 cursed swords. Note, they are bound here, neither eating nor sleeping, constantly reliving the pain of nearing death. Indeed, this ghost was not an ordinary undead. Not only did she have many skills, but she also came with a special plotline. Completing her wish had a chance to make her advance into a hero. Fang Hao looked at the ghost again and asked, Little You, do you know about the 12 cursed swords? Little Yu's figure flickered, and she curiously asked in return, Are they weapons? I don't know much about weapons. It should be due to memory loss that it seemed he could only rely on himself to find the 12 cursed longswords. All right, welcome to. Join us. You can familiarize yourself with the territory first. After dinner, I'll build you a house, and you can live there from now on, Fang Hao said. Thank you, adult. After saying that, Little You floated out of the Lord's mansion. After Little You left, Ear's dinner was also ready. The two sat at the dining table to eat. Fang Hao habitually opened the Lord's book, checking it while eating. Anya, on the other hand, was excitedly telling Ear about the day's exploration of the ancient tomb and the origin of the female ghost in the territory. Listened with her eyes wide open. A little scared but also full of curiosity about the rest of the story. After dinner, Fang Hao walked out of the room. He happened to see Little You floating over from a distance. The sky was dark, and if it weren't for the luminous stone streetlights in the territory, it would have been very difficult to spot her figure in the night. Adult, Little You said softly. Most of the territory was made up of skeletons, and Little You had also wandered around the territory, getting familiar with the environment. Yes, there aren't many special rules in the territory. Don't get close to the organ museum, don't harm others, and you can tell me if you need anything, Fang Hao said softly as he walked, giving instructions. Corpse mage, Nelson's status in the territory was second only to Fang Hao. Both his knowledge and his ability to create skeleton heroes were enough for him to receive this treatment. Therefore, not disturbing Nelson's work was a very important matter. Understood, adult. I will keep your command in mind. Little You followed behind, saying softly. The two, one in front and one behind, arrived at the area near the undead buildings. How about building a house for you here? Fang Hao asked. Although ghosts were ethereal undead, they wouldn't just float around all day. That's fine, adult. Fang Hao nodded, opened the Lord's book, found the housing section, and built it directly. Light flashed, and a wooden house appeared before Fang Hao's eyes. Then, he directly upgraded the wooden house to level 4, turning it into a 2-story building. Ghost Little Yu's loyalty to you has increased by 5 points. Current loyalty is 80 points. With the house built, Little You happily spun around in the air, and her loyalty also increased. It seemed that houses really gave women a sense of security, a constant throughout history. There are many furniture items in the warehouse. See if there's anything you can use, and I'll arrange for skeletons to move them into your room. The territory's furniture was all plundered from various tribes, difficult to sell and useless. They were all piled up in the material storage area. Thank you, adult. Speaking of furniture, I saw a wooden coffin in the corner of the warehouse. Can I have it? Little You asked. A wooden coffin? Fang Hao frowned, trying to recall when there was a wooden coffin in the warehouse. Immediately after, He remembered that there was indeed a wooden coffin, that exquisite corpse-raising coffin. The exquisite corpse-nurturing coffin was an item he had plundered from Wind Fort. In '01 in the territory had died, so it had never been used. Now that Xiaoyu mentioned it, Fang Hao also remembered this beautifully crafted wooden coffin that was piled in the corner of the warehouse. "You want that coffin?" Fang Hao asked curiously. The image of the broken stone coffin appeared in his mind. Half of the stone coffin containing Xiaoyu's body had collapsed, damaging her corpse. Could it be that in her subconscious, she still wanted a coffin? "Is that okay? If you have another use for it, then forget it," Xiaoyu quickly explained. "I don't have a use for it, but what do you need this wooden coffin for?" Fang Hao asked. "Sir, I am in a spiritual state, and this wooden coffin is beneficial to me," Xiaoyu answered. "All right, since it's useful to you, I'll give it to you." The two came to the warehouse and had the skeleton warriors move some furniture into Xiaoyu's wooden house. Although she didn't ask for anything other than the corpse-nurturing coffin, the room was empty without anything in it, making it look bare. After all, they had plundered quite a few good things from that ancient tomb. Exquisite corpse-nurturing coffin. Blue. Category: corpse-nurturing coffin. Description: a corpse-nurturing coffin of the Evernight race. Lying in it can instantly calm your mind and has the effect of nourishing the soul. It seems that nourishing the soul is the attribute that is useful to Xiaoyu. The skeletons then carried the corpse-nurturing coffin to Xiaoyu's bedroom. Xiaoyu directly floated into the coffin and even tried lying down. It was as if she was floating in the middle of the coffin. She didn't know if this counted as lying down. Xiaoyu was very happy to get the corpse-nurturing coffin, and her loyalty increased by another 10 points, reaching 90 points at AS for whether the corpse-nurturing coffin would have a nourishing effect on a wraith. That was no longer important. With everything properly handled, Fang Hao walked out of Xiaoyu's wooden house that he continued to the industrial area to build the acquired building blueprints. Arriving near the forge, he opened the Lord's book and turned to the building page. Level 1 blacksmith shop. Wood 600, stone 850, leather 300, hemp rope 200, iron 150. Built. The construction time for a level 1 blacksmith shop was 5 minutes. Among level 1 building types, this was considered relatively long. 5 minutes passed. The blacksmith shop was already built and appeared before Fang Hao. Level 1 blacksmith shop. Recruitable. Blacksmith. 1 writhing spine. Note: you can recruit troops of your faction in this building to forge ironware and repair weapons. Upgrade required. Wood 1200, stone 1500, tough wood 500, hemp rope 220, iron 200. Its function was the same as the tailor shop. The IT could recruit functional troop types. The blacksmith shop recruited blacksmiths to forge and repair ironware. With sufficient materials, Fang Hao directly upgraded it to level 4. But when it reached level 5, the materials changed. Level 5 tailor shop. Wood 5200, stone 7300, tough wood 750, stone bricks 600, iron 500, metal parts 120, red flame essence 2. The material consumption increased exponentially. Fortunately, Fang Hao could exchange large amounts of resources on the regional channel every day with the Spring of Rejuvenation. This could support his building consumption. Upgrade. Level 5 blacksmith shop. Recruitable. Blacksmith. 1 writhing spine ability. Focus. Work efficiency plus 5%. Note: you can recruit troops of your faction in this building to forge ironware and repair weapons. Upgrade required. Wood 6000, stone 7500, tough wood 900, stone brick 1000, iron 600, metal parts 220, red flame essence 4. Upgraded to level 5. The blacksmith shop unlocked a new ability. The blacksmith's work efficiency increased by 5%. With the construction complete, the next step was to recruit blacksmiths. Blacksmith. 1 writhing spine. Recruit. Confirm recruitment. Hundredfold increase triggered. Recruiting 101 skeleton blacksmiths. Light flashed, and 101 skeletons wearing oily leather aprons and holding metal hammers appeared before Fang Hao. They also had skeleton bodies, but compared to the skeleton tailors, the skeleton blacksmiths had larger skeletons in their empty eye sockets. A faint blue soul flame flickered. Skeleton blacksmith. Tier 1. Faction. Undead racial traits. Undead, Hollow skeleton. Light weakness. Skills. Focus. Iron processing. Innate skill. Level 1 blacksmithing mastery. Note: under the glow of the blazing furnace, blacksmiths hammer out metal weapons and tools on the anvil. Iron processing. Skillfully operate the forge, accelerating the speed of finished product smelting. The forge was the furnace used to smelt iron into cast iron blocks. Currently, it was operated by labor skeletons. After this, it would be just right to hand it over to the blacksmiths to operate, which could also increase speed. Lord, we are ready to serve you. The blacksmiths saluted in unison. Similar to the tailors, they also possessed independent souls, could speak, and could think independently. Welcome, everyone. Fang Hao smiled, then looked at one of the blacksmiths. What is your name? The skeleton blacksmith who was called stepped forward 2 steps and respectfully said, Lord, my name is Ku Lin. All right, Ku Lin, you are now the person in charge of the blacksmiths. From now on, I will give you tasks, and you will assign them. Fang Hao said softly. Undead blacksmith Ku Lin's loyalty to you has increased by 10 points. Current loyalty is 90. Thank you for your trust, sir. Ku Lin bowed again, his expression not changing much, but his loyalty directly increased by 10 points. I will build some forges. At that time, you will take over the positions of the labor skeletons and also repair the equipment in the warehouse. Fang Hao instructed as he walked. He went directly to the forge construction area and increased the number of forges to 50. Having the experience with the tailors last time, he once again built houses for the skeleton blacksmiths, told them they could rest, and arranged their work hours. This once again increased the loyalty of all the blacksmiths by 5 points. After building the blacksmith shop, Fang Hao began to return to the Lord's mansion. As he walked on the road, a weak voice came from beside him. Sir, human sir, please let me go. In the dim corner where the moonlight couldn't reach, the Knoll leader, Claw Terror, Nigo, was imprisoned there. The moonlight was hazy in the black iron cage. Nigo lay there, bound hand and foot, covered in injuries. Hundreds of skeleton soldiers surrounded him, guarding Nigo. Weakness and injuries made Nigo worry in his heart. These people probably didn't intend to let him live. They just hadn't found a way to deal with him yet. Do you have any new information to tell me? Fang Hao did not approach, but asked softly towards the darkness. No, no. As soon as Nigo answered, seeing Fang Hao turn to leave, he hurriedly said, Sir, I am willing to pledge allegiance to you and scout for information for you. Really, I'll go undercover and find out all the information for you. Hearing Nigo's words, Fang Hao's footsteps paused. Undercover, that was a good idea. The reason Nigo was still alive was not because Fang Hao had any further use for him. It was simply that Nelson was currently busy converting the vampires into skeleton heroes, making him unable to convert Nigo. If he killed him now, with it being summer, he was afraid the smell would affect everyone's mood. So he decided to lock him up for a few days and wait until Nelson finished the conversion before making further arrangements. Hearing Nigo's words now, Fang Hao fell into deep thought. Information about the Skullcrusher tribe was too scarce that if he could plan a spy there to gather intelligence on the enemy's next move, it would be a good idea. Can you get into the Skullcrusher tribe? Fang Hao stopped his departing steps and looked back at Nigo in the iron cage in the darkness. Yes, absolutely, my lord, Nigo said loudly, as if grasping at a life-saving straw. The Skullcrusher scouts mentioned that helping the tribe would be rewarded. I can use that excuse to enter the tribe and definitely join them to gather information for you. He didn't want to die. Of course, he wouldn't be truly loyal to Fang Hao as long as he had an excuse to leave here. He would definitely look for an opportunity to get revenged. He would torture the human in front of him and that little woman who beat him to death. Nigo thought this in his heart, but his tone remained sincere and respectful. My lord, I will do my best to make up for my mistakes. Fang Hao stroked his chin, lost in thought. This was indeed a good idea. Of course, this good idea referred to planting a spy, not letting Nigo go. He had annihilated Nigo's race, so reconciliation was impossible. Even with a hero contract, Nigo's loyalty wouldn't be very high. Besides, the only hero contract he had was used on Njia. My lord, the great chieftain of the Skullcrusher tribe is known as the Tyrant, and his forces are strong and numerous. Without intelligence, you might suffer losses. Nigo's long, thin tongue licked his dry lips. I will bring you back the information, including the number of troops and the time of attack. Nigo continued to chatter, trying to persuade Fang Hao to accept his idea. Your idea is good. I need to think about it carefully. After saying this, Fang Hao gradually walked away amidst Nigo's pleas. Returning to his room, it was already very late. Lying in bed, he checked the regional channel where everyone was chatting, then drifted off to sleep. The next morning, the sky began to lighten. Fang Hao woke up and stretched with a big yawn. He went to the bathroom, washed up, then left his room and went downstairs. Angia's room was still closed, so she probably hadn't gotten up yet or was in the kitchen preparing breakfast for the three of them. He walked out of the Lord's mansion. The rabbit people, however, were up very early, working according to their respective tasks. Master, you're up so early today, a rabbit girl smiled, greeting him with a bow. The simple movement caused her simple clothes to open wide, revealing a large expanse of white skin. The rabbit girls were all very young and had shapely figures. It was a feast for the eyes first thing in the morning. Of course, Fang Hao, who had seen a lot, simply smiled and said, "Good morning." Good morning, master." The rabbit girl's face also beamed. Here, they had food to eat and houses to live in. No one bullied them, and especially since their master was usually quite easygoing. This place was simply heaven for them, so the rabbit people integrated very quickly, taking the initiative to bow and greet Fang Hao when they saw him. They also didn't show fear when they encountered the working skeletons. Fang Hao walked directly out of the territory. He came to the logging area of the laborer skeletons. He opened the crafting interface and selected simple handsaw. Simple handsaw, hardened tough wood 1, cast iron block 1, metal parts 2. Craft 30. Hundredfold increase triggered. Obtained simple handsaw 30. 3,000 handsaws appeared on the empty ground in front of him. The shape of the handsaws was not significantly different from the wood saws seen in modern times. The sharp teeth could efficiently saw through wood. Replace the tools and put the rest in the warehouse, Fang Hao ordered loudly. Hearing Fang Hao's command, the nearby logging skeletons came over and replaced the tools in their hands. The logging area came with a small tool warehouse for convenient storage and retrieval of tools. Soon, the laborer skeletons replaced their tools with handsaws, and the rest were put into the warehouse. Fang Hao had assigned 1,000 laborer skeletons to the logging area. The reason he crafted 3,000 tools was more to consider the issue of replacing them after wear and tear. Skeletons worked day and night, and tools wore out quickly. And sometimes he was too busy and might accidentally forget that, so he made more to be prepared. After crafting the tools, Fang Hao returned to the territory and began crafting the newly acquired black iron armor. The territory now had nearly 50,000 skeleton soldiers. He would first equip the skeleton troops within the territory with the new gear: Black Iron Knight's Sword, Green Cast Iron Block 3, Hardened Tough Wood 1, Leather 1, Craft 300. Hundredfold increase triggered. Obtain Black Iron Knight's Sword 30300, Black Iron Open-Faced Helmet, Leather 5, Iron 3, Iron Plate 4. Craft 500. Hundredfold increase triggered. Obtain Black Iron Open-Faced Helmet 50500, Wooden Mask, Green Hardened Tough Wood 1, Leather 2, Metal Parts 1. Craft 500. Hundredfold increase triggered. Obtained Wooden Mask 50500. 3 blueprints were crafted consecutively. This caused equipment to pile up all around Fang Hao. The quantity reached an astonishing level. He picked up a Black Iron Knight's Sword casually and checked its attributes to Black Iron Knight's Sword, Green, Category, One-Handed Sword Damage, Level 3 Damage, Description: a replica based on a knight's sword. Although it is just a replica, this does not prevent it from cutting off your head. Tier 2 skeleton warriors possessed sword and shield mastery. Equipping them with knight's swords could greatly increase the skeleton warrior's killing power, compensating for the tier difference to Black Iron Open-Faced Helmet Category, Head Defense, Level 3 Defense, Description: the open-faced helmet provides more comprehensive head defense. The Black Iron Open-Faced Helmet was more like the tin can helmet seen in Movies.it resembled an iron bucket with a T-shaped opening cut out for the eyes and nose.so. It was somewhat different from an iron bucket. Otherwise, Fang Hao might as well just make a few iron buckets for the skeleton soldiers to wear on their heads, and they could even hold water when not in use. He continued to check the last item. Wooden. Mask, green, category, mask ability. Level 1 fear, level 1 fear. Wearing the mask has a chance to trigger a level 1 fear status, causing enemy, living troops to experience negative statuses such as fear and decreased morale. Fear. Effects cannot be stacked. The highest level of fear value is taken. Description: the mask initially appeared as a mold for the facial armor of constructs. With improvements over time, it evolved into the current mask. Painted with various ghostly face patterns, it is unsettling and terrifying. Wooden mask. Its biggest use was the ability it provided. Tier 1 fear could cause enemy creatures to have a chance of experiencing fear, leading to various negative statuses. This effect, applied to the undead race, would definitely be even better. Perhaps even having a stacking effect that a vast army of undead, covering the mountains and plains, wearing eerie and terrifying masks. Anyone would feel nervous. Experiencing negative emotions was quite normal. Go and call Huiyin, Fang Hao said to a nearby rabbit girl. Huh, master, which adult is called Huiyin? The rabbit girl fiddled with her fingers, speaking softly. Although they knew the skeletons wouldn't harm them, they usually didn't dare to approach the undead area. It's that skeleton hero holding a long blade and wearing full red armor, Fang Hao described. Oh. The rabbit girl was a bit hesitant, but she still followed the command and went to find the described skeleton hero. Soon, the rabbit girl led Huiyin over to Huiyin's attire was quite conspicuous. Blood red armor, a long blade at his waist, and the armor rubbing as he walked, giving him the demeanor of a great general. Adult, you were looking for me, Huiyin said, bowing. These are newly made equipment. Arrange for the soldiers to change into them, and put the discarded equipment in the supply area first, Fang Hao said. The supply area was a simple shed built on an empty plot of land that it was used to store excess resources. Yes, adult. Huiyin accepted the order and left to organize the skeletons to change their equipment. With the increase in heroes, Fang Hao's population management also became much more convenient. He no longer needed to shout himself hoarse all day long. He could just hand tasks over to the respective leaders. After instructing Huiyin, Fang Hao walked out from the pile of equipment. He was just about to return to the Lord's stone building for breakfast. Anjia also came downstairs, rubbing her eyes. She really did sleep until she woke up naturally, without any pressure at all. Oh, you're up so early. Seeing Fang Hao, Anjia yawned and said. Fang Hao rolled his eyes at her. What did she mean by up so early? He had already been busy for a long time. Ear brought breakfast to the table, and the three of them began to eat. Anjia and Ear chatted while eating. Fang Hao still opened the Lord's book and looked at the chat in the regional channel. Seeking stone bricks, building material for a Tier 4 Lord's mansion. If you have them, private message me with a price. If you know the production method or blueprint, I'll exchange at a high price. Holy cow, the guy upstairs is already at a Tier 4 Lord's mansion. That's too fierce. Awesome. I'm only at a Tier 2 Lord's mansion. I just managed to gather enough materials yesterday to upgrade the city wall to Tier 2. It's really infuriating comparing yourself to others. Tier 4 should be the highest level in our region. Not necessarily. Maybe Boss Fang Hao is already at a higher level. You never know. Impossible. Based on the initial farmer population and the amount of resources mined per day, it's absolutely impossible to exceed Tier 4. You say it's impossible, so it's impossible? Do you think the boss is you? Ignorance. Even in transmigration, there are stubborn asses. Damn it. Ding. Fang Hao was watching the discussion when a private message notification suddenly popped up. Could it be that Tier 4 Lord looking to buy stone bricks from him? Opening it, he realized he had overthought things. It was a lord who had sent a message. Boss Fang Hao, are you buying shadow stones? Fang Hao had been buying shadow stones these past few days, and he had even explicitly stated that he would prioritize shadow stones for exchange, whether for items, weapons, and equipment, or even the spring of rejuvenation. This had made everyone in the channel interested in shadow stones. After all, weapons, equipment, and the spring of rejuvenation were all quite expensive now. Yes, do you have some? Fang Hao asked. Can I ask? First, what is the use of this shadow stone? The description says it's for the undead race. What are you using it for, boss? The other party asked that it was clear that this person had obtained shadow stones. However, knowing that Fang Hao was buying them, he was afraid that the shadow stones had some special use and he would lose out by selling them that he wanted to ask about. The use first before deciding whether to sell. Fang Hao replied directly, saying, I obtained a special undead building that requires shadow stones. Ordinary human buildings can't use them. Oh, okay. Boss Fang Hao, I have 13 here and I want to exchange them for some weapons with you. Okay. Boss, besides iron spears, do you have any other iron tools? Are iron swords okay? Yes, yes, yes. That's great. Fang Hao had just finished upgrading a batch of iron swords today, so he could exchange them for shadow stones with him. 1 shadow stone for 3 iron swords. Fang Hao quoted directly. Boss, don't joke around. This is a rare resource, and you said you prioritize exchanging for it. 3 swords are too few. How about 5 iron swords? The other party said. Besides me, you can't sell shadow stones elsewhere. Let's meet in the middle at 4 swords. Neither of us loses out. Okay, then 4 swords. I'll put them up for designated trade. Okay, if you have more next time, I'll buy them at this price. Okay, I'll take people to look for more later. Soon, the other party put up the 13 shadow stones, and Fang Hao put up the promised 52 iron swords for exchange. Ding! Just as the exchange was completed, the private message rang again. Boss, are the underwear I pre-ordered ready? I can't stand it anymore. Fang Hao remembered this person. Last time he was buying flax in the channel, he said he wanted to custom order a pair of cloth underwear, as leather underwear was too chafing that it had been so long, but he was still thinking about this matter. I'll ask when I have time. I've been quite busy lately and haven't paid attention to this. Boss Fang Hao, please think of a way. The leather ones are too uncomfortable. Why don't you just not wear any? You're a grown man. What's wrong with being a bit more free? Fang Hao said. Trips me when I walk. Damn it, bragging. After chatting for a while, he closed the Lord's book. The 3 of them had also finished breakfast. Anjia yawned and wanted to go back to sleep, but Fang Hao stopped her. Anjia, go call Xiaoyu. Come with me to see that knoll. Oh, okay. Anjia pouted slightly and walked out reluctantly. Fang Hao came to the cage. Anjia and Xiaoyu walked over. Specters weren't exactly afraid of sunlight, but they were somewhat annoyed by it. Upon arriving here, she quickly hid in a shady spot, avoiding the intense sunlight. The knoll originally wanted to beg for mercy, but seeing that Anjia had also come, he lay quietly on the ground. Pretending to be dead, he was afraid of provoking this crazy woman and being dragged out for a beating. Adult, do you have any orders? Xiaoyu spoke softly. Her loyalty to Fang Hao had reached 90 points. This was considered very high. She would do her best to complete any command Fang Hao gave. Fang Hao glanced at the weak knoll and said, I want you to possess him and go to the Cold Wind Mountains to gather intelligence for me. Xiaoyu also looked at the knoll, her face showing difficulty. Adult, you want me to possess a hero? How is that possible? Xiaoyu, in her ethereal form, showed a look of surprise. She was only a tier 3 unit, and ordinarily, she would avoid heroes when she saw them, let alone possess one. Now, Fang Hao was asking her to possess a hero. It wasn't just reluctance, it was simply impossible. Fang Hao naturally knew this point. Xiaoyu possessed the ability of soul possession, which was an upgraded version of possession ability. Even so, there were still quite a few restrictions to successfully possessing something. The most important factors were tier and strength. It was very difficult to possess a unit stronger than yourself. What if he's a living dead person without a soul? Can you possess him? Fang Hao glanced at the jackal man in the distance. Fang Hao's idea was very simple, that he felt that Xiaoyu's soul possession was very similar to his own divine descent, except that the target of his divine descent was his undead units and could not be used on other unit types. Xiaoyu's soul possession, however, could target any living creature, fulfilling Fang Hao's initial hypothesis. Whether it was divine descent or possession, there were some fixed requirements. The stronger the unit being descended upon, the higher its intelligence and soul strength, the more difficult the possession would be. What if Nigo's body was just alive? Would it be simpler? Hearing Fang Hao's words, Xiaoyu became a little flustered. Sir, I don't know if I can succeed. I haven't used this ability before. After she awakened, she had been in the ancient tomb and had never been outside. Naturally, she had never used this ability either. No rush, we'll try then, Fang Hao said as soon as he finished speaking. The figure of the corpse which Nielsen appeared, walking slowly towards them. Originally, Nielsen was performing a conversion ritual, and Fang Hao didn't want to interrupt. But the threat from the Skullcrusher tribe still forced him to find Nielsen. Lord, Nielsen walked closer and bowed slightly. Scholar Nielsen, there's been a situation in the territory, and I had to interrupt your ritual, Fang Hao said. Oh, what happened? Nielsen asked softly. Then, Fang Hao recounted the events in the Cold Wind Mountain Range and the Skullcrusher tribe. Furthermore, he told Nielsen about his plan. Nielsen glanced at the wraith in the shadows, who quickly bowed in respect. Yes, we can give it a try. Lift this jackal man to the organ museum, Nielsen said directly. Immediately, skeleton soldiers stepped forward, lifted the jackal man, and followed behind Nielsen, entering the organ museum amidst the jackalman's loud shouts. Fang Hao and the others waited outside the door. Who's this? I haven't seen him before. Anya nudged Fang Hao lightly from the side. This is our territory's hero, Scholar Nielsen, Fang Hao introduced. Oh, just as the three of them were chatting, a heart-wrenching howl suddenly echoed from within the organ museum. Just hearing the tragic cry sent shivers down one's spine. Immediately after, the door of the organ museum opened again. Sir, it's been taken care of. This wraith can try it. If she can't possess it, I can preserve the body by air-drying it, Nielsen said, leaning on his staff. Fang Hao nodded, looked at the wraith beside him. Xiaoyu, try to possess him. Yes, sir. Xiaoyu slowly approached the body, turning into a mist and merging into the body of the jackal man lying on the ground. The next second, the jackal man, who had been lying with his eyes closed, suddenly opened them but he sat up, his eyes wide, looking around. Xiaoyu. The jackal man immediately stood up, crossed his legs, and bowed with a curtsy. Sir, do you think this is all right? A somewhat shedding, scarred jackal man performing a lady's curtsy in a demure manner was a bit difficult to accept. But what was certain was that Xiaoyu had succeeded at this moment. She could control this body, and from Fang Hao's perspective that it was still Claw Terror Nigo. Very good. Next, you need to pay attention to your behavior. You are a jackal man hero, Fang Hao instructed. Oh, okay. Xiaoyu felt pretty good. She could control this body at will, as if she had a body of her own. However, the image of a jackal man made her feel very uncomfortable in her heart. This body can be maintained for 5 days. After 5 days, signs of death will appear. You need to investigate the situation and return within 5 days, or find a new body. Nielsen reminded from the side that in other words, this body could only last for 5 days. After 5 days, people would be able to tell that it was dead, and if Xiaoyu was discovered then, she would also be in danger. I understand, Scholar Nielsen. I will bring back the information, Xiaoyu said, treating the undead scholar with the same respect in her words and actions. Okay, be careful with everything. If there's danger, come back first, Fang Hao also instructed. Next, the few of them discussed some of the things that needed attention. After repeatedly emphasizing safety first, Xiaoyu, possessing the jackalman's body, rode out of the territory and quickly headed towards the Cold Wind Mountain Range. Before leaving, Fang Hao introduced her to the situation of the jackal man tribe and gave her the teleportation scroll bound to the territory's coordinates. Amidst the flying hooves, she left the territory. After seeing Xiaoyu off, Nielsen closed the door of the organ museum again. He continued the work he had started. Fang Hao was also thinking about where in the territory he should add some more defenses, just as he was thinking intently. Eeyore walked over quickly and said softly, Master, the skeleton merchant is here, waiting for you in the market area. It was time for the skeleton merchant to appear again. Indeed, several days had passed since the last time. Okay, I'll be right there. Market area. The skeleton merchant, leaning on his jeweled staff, his bony fingers playing with a trinket in his hand, his eye sockets, burning with ghostly blue flames, were looking at the territory before him in astonishment. the thick city. Walls, the tall watchtowers, the magic towers containing magical energy, and also the organ museum, the blacksmith shop, the tailor shop.it was hard to imagine in just 7 days. This territory had actually developed to such a degree that if his mind wasn't still sharp, he would have thought he had misremembered the time or come to the wrong territory. Just as he was feeling waves of astonishment in his heart, he saw Fang Hao walking over with large strides. The skeleton merchant, Ruer, immediately showed a smile, bowed respectfully, and said, "Respected sir, we meet again." "Yes, it's good to see you again, Mr. Ruer," Fang Hao replied with a smile as well. His transactions with Ruer had always gone smoothly, and some of the items he purchased had greatly boosted the territory's strength. "I hope this time's goods can satisfy you, sir." Ruer lightly tapped the ground with his staff. A bone shelf appeared, displaying the goods for sale today. Fang Hao walked straight up and checked the item information. Frost orange production. Blueprint, green. A price, 10 war coins. Black powder production blueprint, green. Price, 25 war coins. Precision mill construction blueprint, blue. A price, 30 war coins. Frost orange soap blueprint, green. Price, 10 warfire coins. Black powder blueprint, green. Price, 25 warfire coins. Refined mill construction blueprint, blue. Price, 30 warfire coins. Advanced hero contract, purple. Price, 320. Warfire coins. Organ jar, green. Price, 50 warfire coins. It seemed that the quality of the blueprints on the shelves had improved due to the territory's upgrade. Before, most were white, with only 1 or 2 green ones appearing. Now, they were all green and blue, and there was even a purple blueprint. "I'll take them all," Fang Hao said, taking out 435 warfire coins and handing them to the skeleton merchant. "Thank you for your generosity," the skeleton merchant said, taking the coins and then picking up the blueprints from the shelves one by one, handing them to Fang Hao. Fang Hao took the blueprints and recorded them in his lord's book. After selling his goods, the skeleton merchant prepared to leave. "Mr. Ruer, if you're not in a hurry, would you like to sit down and chat?" Fang Hao asked. The skeleton merchant paused, looking at Fang Hao with a hint of curiosity. Then he said, "Not at all. What would you like to discuss, my lord?" The two sat down on a nearby stone bench. "I remember Mr. Ruer mentioning before that once the lord's mansion reaches the stone house level, one can start selling items to the outside world. My lord's mansion has already been upgraded to the stone house level, so what should I do next?" Fang Hao asked directly, getting straight to the point. Fang Hao clearly remembered Ruer saying that the market could sell to the outside. Now his lord's mansion had reached the stone house level, but he didn't know how to proceed. There were no further instructions. "Oh, so that's what's bothering you, my lord." Ruer understood why Fang Hao wanted to talk to him, and he also realized that in just 1 week, this territory had already upgraded to the stone house stage. This rate of development surprised even Ruer, a merchant who traveled to various places. "Yes, does Mr. Ruer know the method? To sell items to various factions through the market, you must be recognized by the All-Seeing Merchant Alliance. Once you become a member, you can sell your goods," Ruer explained. Fang Hao frowned, curious about the sudden appearance of an All-Seeing Merchant Alliance. Then how can one join the All-Seeing Merchant Alliance? He hadn't expected that selling goods through the market would require the approval of some All-Seeing Merchant Alliance. Ruer continued to explain. Gaining recognition from the All-Seeing Merchant Alliance is not an easy task. Only influential forces in various regions are qualified to join. Besides their influence in terms of power and wealth, they also need a guarantee and recommendation from an old member. Fang Hao stroked his chin. This was quite strict, just like bidding for a company contract. "Mr. Ruer, is there any way to obtain this guarantee and recommendation?" "Haha, you are indeed direct, my lord. If you wish to obtain a recommendation, I can speak to Lord Audis on your behalf and try to secure one for you," Ruer said, his skeleton jaw trembling as he let out a hoarse laugh. Ruer was not the owner of the Skeleton Merchant Guild. At most, he was a local business representative. Audis, the King of Bones, was the true owner of the guild and a lord in his own right. Whether a recommendation could be obtained depended on Audis's attitude. "Then thank you, Mr. Ruer. If it succeeds, I will certainly offer a token of my gratitude," Fang Hao said. According to Ruer, Very few factions on this continent were willing to deal with the undead. Therefore, Audis often had vacant recommendation slots. Furthermore, Fang Hao had a significant influence within the undead faction. Thus, the chances of him getting this recommendation were very high. The two sat for a while. Fang Hao then subtly brought up some topics about the continent and the undead. However, Roar was also quite astute. He would discuss some things with Fang Hao, but he would always stop short of revealing too much, sometimes even just briefly mentioning something. After chatting for a while, Roar told Fang Hao to wait for news and then left the territory via the teleportation array. After seeing off the skeleton merchant, Fang Hao continued to busy himself with his own affairs. Now, the heroes and maids in his territory handled most of the work, but he was still very busy. One thing after another. There was always something to do. He opened his lord's book to check the blueprints he had just purchased. The first 3 were crafting blueprints, but he lacked the materials to craft them yet. Next was the construction blueprint, that level 1 refined mill. With 1200, stone 800, rope 550, iron 220, metal parts 120, natural gem 2. Description: the refined mill increases grain grinding output by 10% and production speed by 5%. Instantly, a building appeared before him. Although the building was completed, he had no grain so he didn't upgrade it, waiting until he had grain that needed to be milled before doing so. Otherwise, upgrading it prematurely wouldn't be very useful. After a busy morning, it was already noon. It felt like he had just finished breakfast when came to call him for lunch again. He came to the dining table, where the food was already laid out. While eating, Fang Hao casually opened his lord's book to see what everyone was chatting about. Nice weather, another good day for hunting. You still hunt yourself? Don't you have soldiers? Are you a lone commander? Sigh. So boring. I really want to play games. I really want to watch TV shows. I really miss the ladies in my hard drive. Oh, big brother upstairs, are you bored? I can chat with you. 50 units of resources per hour. If your territory is close, we can even meet up and chat. Is business developing so fast? There are already chat companions. No, I'm curious. You only have 10 speaking rights a day. How do you chat for an hour? They said, chat offline mouth to mouth. Damn, then an hour would be suffocating. Buying natural gems at a high price. The channel was as interesting as ever. Watching everyone chat not only relieved stress, but also taught him many new words and knowledge. It made him realize how out of touch he was. Fang Hao watched everyone chat. He posted a wanted ad, buying various grains and grain seeds. Those who have them, private message me with the quantity. It was fine when Fang Hao didn't speak. Everyone chatted and bragged normally. As soon as he spoke, the channel became as excited as if it had been injected with adrenaline. Holy crap, Lord Fang Hao spoke. The big shot finally showed up. Hasn't spoken in the group for a long time. Brother Fang Hao, I'm your only fan. Please notice me. No. What are you guys talking about? Didn't anyone notice Lord Fang Hao is buying grain? You're making a fuss. Lord Fang Hao bought seeds several days ago. He wants to plant grain recently. What? Is that not allowed? The channel was buzzing with heated discussions. Fang Hao's private messages also kept coming in. Lord Fang Hao, I have wheat seeds here. Do you need them? The name of the person who sent Fang Hao the private message was easy to remember, Lu Qi. Yes, how much do you have? Fang Hao asked. 1 basket, about the size of a wash basin, 1 basket, Lu Qi said. Wow, that's quite a lot. Fang Hao said, where? Did you get so much? Is there farmland near your territory? You can also sell me ripe ones. I traded for them. There's a village outside my territory. I exchanged some resources with them for the seeds. Zhuang Zhong didn't hide anything. After experiencing the second mandatory mission, the militiamen sent out by Lu Qi to patrol discovered native farmers. After some reconnaissance, learning that the villagers seemed friendly enough, he personally went to the village for a friendly exchange. In the village, Lu Qi exchanged for fruits and food, which counted as a source of food. He also exchanged for some seeds, planning to plant them himself when there were more farmers in his territory. He happened to see Fang Hao buying seeds, so he could exchange for some equipment he needed. Oh, let's trade seeds first, Fang Hao said. Everyone has their own opportunities. Fang Hao found the orc market, while Lu Qi found a human village. Both of them obtained some benefits from the locals at the same time, through Lu Qi's narration. Fang Hao also learned that there were human villages in this area, and his territory happened to be in a place with a large number of orcs. How do you plan to exchange? Fang Hao continued to ask. Armor, I want armor, boss. Fang Hao was stunned. He thought Lu Qi would prioritize weapons like everyone else. Unexpectedly, he was considering armor. That is to say, Lu Qi's territory didn't have to worry about equipping his soldiers with iron weapons that AS expected. Everyone's development level is different. For armor, there are beast hide helmets, beast hide armor, and hardwood shields. Which one do you want? Hardwood shield. Hardwood shields are more popular in the market, so I'll count it as 5 hardwood shields for you, Fang Hao said. Okay, I'll put it up for sale. Okay, soon. Fang Hao received a designated trade. He put up 5 hardwood shields, and next to him was a basket woven with thatch, filled with wheat seeds that he quickly finished his lunch. Fang Hao took the wheat seeds and came to the spirit fields. First, he increased the number of spirit fields that level 1 spirit field requires. Wood 1500, stone 800, hemp rope 300, natural gem 5, trace of the earth 1. Fang Hao had plenty of all kinds of materials in his hands. He directly expanded 5 level 1 spirit fields. Then, he upgraded all the spirit fields to level 5 spirit fields. This plain near the stream was now covered by spirit fields. Next, he handed it over to the labor skeletons for planting, and Fang Hao didn't have to worry about it after finishing everything. It was still early. Fang Hao selected some centaurs and took Anjiao out to continue exploring the surrounding area. They didn't return until dusk, in addition to obtaining some meat. He also opened a silver treasure chest and obtained a siege ladder. Blueprint from it. Siege ladder. Wood 220, hemp rope 150, metal parts 10. Description: a simple siege ladder that can be quickly made, allowing soldiers to climb the city wall. In previous battles, the opponents Fang Hao encountered didn't have particularly tall city walls. They were basically village-level gathering points. The skeleton soldiers, with dozens of times more enemies, climbed the city wall like a stack of arhits. They rarely used any tactics or strategies. Sometimes, if you say too much, the skeleton soldiers will have difficulty distinguishing the situation, and all kinds of loopholes will appear. After returning, he sorted things out. After dinner, he prepared to rest. The next day, early morning, Fang Hao had just turned over when he felt his arm touch something soft. He opened his eyes and saw Eeyore lying beside him, staring at him with big eyes, her face full of smiles. Eeyore stayed last night. How could he not remember? Eeyore, why are you here? I saw that Master was sleeping soundly, so I didn't bother you, waiting for Master to wake up. Eeyore said softly with a sweet smile. Eeyore's loyalty to Fang Hao had reached 100%. Fang Hao had absolute trust in Eeyore, and Eeyore was also very dependent on him. Therefore, Fang Hao's bedroom allowed Eeyore to enter and exit, usually cleaning up and sometimes calling Fang Hao to get up. Oh, then let's get up. There are still many things to do. Fang Hao stretched and sat up. Master, Mr. Sawyer came this morning. It seems he has something to do, Eeyore said, while helping Fang Hao put on his clothes. Sawyer is a skeleton tailor. Speaking of Sawyer, Fang Hao remembered the lord who often urged him about his leather pants. Okay, I'll go take a look later, Fang Hao said. After dressing neatly, the two left the bedroom. Looking at the bright sky, Fang Hao moved his stiff body. The weather is really nice today. He exercised in the territory to train his body. Fireblade walked over with a long blade. My lord. Oh, good morning, Fireblade, Fang Hao said while doing stretching exercises. My lord, I have increased the scope and strength of patrols on the north and west sides of the territory according to your request. If enemies approach, they can be discovered immediately, Fireblade said loudly. Yes, especially be careful of orc scouts. Once discovered, eliminate them immediately, Fang Hao said. Yes, my lord. Fireblade nodded and strode away. After Fireblade left, Fang Hao continued his exercise. After running around the territory twice, he stopped by the tailor's shop. Lord, Sawyer saw Fang Hao coming and quickly walked over. Yes, Eeyore, said you went to the lord's mansion to find me this morning. Fang Hao wiped the sweat from his forehead. Yes, my lord. The clothes you mentioned last time have been made, Sawyer said. The tailor's current scope of work is to make clothes for the residents of the territory, except for Fang Hao and who initially told Sawyer their body clothing sizes. The rest of the newly joined rabbit people didn't have a decent set of complete clothing either. The tattered linen slave clothes had already faded from washing. They needed clothes to change into, and were usually casual clothes. Okay, take me to see. Fang Hao had only 2 sets of clothes to wear back and forth. The 2 came to the shed where the tailors worked. In a separate room, the clothes made this time were piled up. Lord, please try it on. Fang Hao directly took off his coat and put on a beige robe. The robe was made of cotton cloth and cotton thread. Although the style was ordinary, it was very comfortable to wear. Outside of battle, it can be worn as casual wear in addition to clothes and pants. The tailors also rushed to make some underwear. Not bad. Fang Hao was very satisfied. These are the clothes made for your maids, Sawyer said. The number of maids in the territory increased, so the number of clothes also increased, different from Fang Hao's robe. The maid's clothing, under the suggestion of Fang Hao, the design master, made bold designs that did not conform to this. It was called a maid outfit and bunny girl outfit. Due to time constraints, a series of Christmas outfits, nurse outfits, stewardess outfits, student outfits, witch outfits, etc. are still in the design process. They will be produced one after another in the future. After understanding Fang Hao's design concept, Sawyer also found inspiration in clothing design, no longer following the original production rules, and trying some bold innovations. After saying goodbye to Sawyer and the others, Fang Hao returned to the stone building, with several skeletons behind him carrying a large amount of clothing. Happened to bring out the prepared breakfast from the kitchen. Master, breakfast is ready. You can eat now. The aroma of food filled the entire dining room. With the ability of a head chef, Ear's strength and hobby was cooking. With sufficient food and ingredients, she could even develop 1 or 2 new dishes. And the taste was very good. Okay, no rush. The clothes Sawyer made are ready. You take the 2 of them to try on these clothes. You wear this one. Fang Hao handed the clothes in his hand to the 2 of them. Besides there were 2 other rabbit girls serving as maids in the Lord's mansion. Oh, okay. Took the clothes, her eyes filled with joy. The other 2 rabbit maids were also quite happy. The 3 of them went into the room to change clothes. After a while, the 3 of them walked out with their heads lowered and their faces slightly red. The 2 maids were wearing black and white maid outfits, with the skirt hem reaching their thighs, revealing their fair and straight long legs, and wearing a pair of brown leather boots on their feet. Not bad, really not bad. Fang Hao nodded slightly. Now only a pair of black stockings was missing, otherwise it would be even more perfect, and was wearing a black bunny girl outfit, with a low neckline revealing a full cleavage and a one-piece short skirt tightly wrapping her buttocks. Her exposed bunny tail and slightly red bunny ears made people's blood rush. Master, do I look good in this? Asked in a low voice. Good looking. Thank you, Master. Replied. What you are wearing is called a maid outfit. You will wear it when you work in the future. There are also some clothes for every day. Wear. You can distribute them to everyone then, and I will make more for you to change into gradually. Fang Hao said. Master, what about mine? What is it called? Stroked the bunny girl outfit on her body and asked curiously. This one, it doesn't have a name yet. You look good in it, so let's call it the bunny girl outfit from now on. Fang Hao slapped his thigh, as if he had suddenly thought of the name. Oh, is it okay to name it after us? Was a little embarrassed. Yes, I think it's quite suitable. You don't need to wear this all the time, only when you are alone. Fang Hao said. Oh, okay, Master. Fang Hao distributed all the maid outfits. Returned to the room, changed into a maid outfit, and walked out again. Even though all the rabbit girls were quite good-looking, Ear's appearance was still far superior to the others. Her figure and appearance, coupled with entering the territory, her nutrition was also keeping up, and her overall temperament and state were even better than the others. After handing the clothes to the other 2 rabbit girls, went upstairs to wake Anjia up for breakfast. You couldn't wake her up for anything. Only eating worked. Anjia sat down at the dining table, leaned closer to Fang Hao, and whispered, What about mine? What about yours? New clothes. They all have them. Why don't I? Anjia said indignantly, So she was talking about new clothes. These are maid outfits, the clothes maids wear when they work. Fang Hao explained. Fang Hao had also prepared ordinary, everyday clothes for Anjia. Only the maid outfit didn't have hers. I don't care, give me a set. Anjia said. Fang Hao was helpless and said, okay, we'll give Anjia a set later. Okay, master. Nodded. With 101 skeleton tailors working, there were enough clothes. Since Anjia wanted one, giving her a set was no big deal. Seeing that her goal was achieved, Anjia showed a satisfied smile and chatted and ate with Fang Hao opened the Lord's book and privately messaged the Lord who wanted leather underwear. Are you there? Here. Boss, are the underwear made? The other party's reply was quite fast, and it seemed they were also looking at the Lord's book. They're out. Give me 5 pairs. How do we trade, boss? The men's underwear made by the tailors were loose boxer briefs with a drawstring waist, so there was no such thing as sizes as long as you weren't excessively fat, you could wear them. Besides, after being in this world for so many days, even the fat people had become thin from hunger. Do you have scarce resources? I'm not short of ordinary resources. It's hard to price them. Fang Hao said. Fang Hao had more basic resources than he could use. If he were to trade, he would need some rare resources. I have some. Boss, just name your price. The other party continued. If Fang Hao was greedy and demanded an exorbitant price for a pair of underwear, then he would rather continue to wear leather underwear, or not wear any in the future. How about this? 1 unit for 2 pairs. You want 5 pairs, so it's 2 rare resources for you. Fang Hao said. Oh, okay. Boss, list them, 5 pairs. Okay. Fang Hao directly designated a trade for 5 pairs of men's underwear. The other party also readily traded 1 natural gem and 1 essence of earth. Such a simple and fast trade made Fang Hao's heart fill with joy. In the second mandatory mission, all the players who survived obtained a certain amount of rare resources, excluding what they could use and what was needed to upgrade buildings. There was still a lot left, and making underwear didn't require much material and was easy to make. Being able to obtain these resources was a new way to get rich. After thinking about it, he immediately shouted in the channel, selling various men's and women's underwear, 2 pieces for 1 unit of rare resource, men's and women's cotton clothing, 1 piece for 3 units of rare resource. You can private message me for blueprints and special items. After editing it, he sent it directly. The channel, which was buzzing with discussion, suddenly shifted its topic to clothing with Fang Hao's appearance. Holy cow, is Boss Fang Hao entering the clothing industry again? Am I witnessing the rise of a capitalist tycoon? Underwear is so expensive. I'd rather go commando. I heard an old Chinese doctor say it helps with secondary development. Yay. Little brother Fang Hao, hurry up and list them. I only have 1 piece of clothing here, and my underwear stinks. Cough, cough. Well, miss, I'll give you 2 units of rare resources. You go buy a new one, and give me the old underwear. Holy crap, are you a pervert, brother? You even want stinky underwear. Miss, I'll offer 3 units of rare resources. Pervert, I'll offer 5 units. Looking at everyone's comments, Fang Hao was stunned at what's going on. Why did it feel like the other party's old underwear was selling better than his? And there was even an auction? Fang Hao listed the underwear and casual wear at the prices he had set. The listed items were selling quickly, but less than 10 minutes after they were listed, feedback about dissatisfaction with the goods appeared in the channel. Oh my, these clothes are too ugly. They're almost like peasant clothes. Yeah, they're so tacky, like clothes from the countryside. You are really spoiled. What kind of place is this? It's good enough to have clean clothes to change into. Do you think you're walking the red carpet? You still want them to look good, ridiculous. Does it have anything to do with you? I have resources. Does little brother Fang Hao have good-looking clothes? It doesn't matter if they're a bit expensive. The ordinary women's clothing made by the tailors was actually just ordinary cotton clothes. Naturally, they wouldn't be like modern clothes, which focus on aesthetics and design. Fang Hao thought for a moment and sent the information about the maid outfit in the channel. Wow, a maid outfit, this looks good. Boss Fang Hao, you're really playing big. So, Boss Fang Hao's territory has women now. Otherwise, who would wear this maid outfit? What you're saying is, couldn't the boss just have some personal hobbies? Oh, if you put it that way, I'm getting a little excited.